Imagine you're an Iraqi air defense operator. It's 3 in the morning on January 17, 1991. You're watching your radar screen showing Baghdad's airspace. Everything looks normal, clear skies, no aircraft detected. Then, without any warning whatsoever, the building next to you explodes. Direct hit from a precision bomb. You look at your radar, still nothing. No aircraft, no warning, nothing. Another explosion 2 blocks away. Then another. Your city is being bombed by aircraft your radar cannot see. They're invisible. You're shooting at ghosts. For Iraqi air defense crews, the F-117 Nighthawk was psychological warfare as much as physical destruction. They called it the ghost plane, and most Americans didn't even know it existed until Desert Storm. Welcome back to Gulf War Chronicles. Today we're talking about the aircraft that opened the war and changed air combat forever, the F-117 stealth fighter. This angular, bizarre-looking plane had been secret for almost a decade. The Air Force publicly admitted it existed only in 1988. By January 91, it was still so classified that most details were unknown. Then Desert Storm started and the Nighthawk went from secret weapon to global phenomenon. In the first hours of the war, F-117 struck the most heavily defended targets in Baghdad, while Iraqi air defenses shot blindly at sounds they couldn't see. Let me tell you how this black triangle terrified Iraq. The F-117 looks like nothing else in the sky. Angular, faceted, covered in radar-absorbing material, it resembles a flying geometric shape more than a traditional aircraft. This isn't accident, it's physics. The faceted design reflects radar waves away from the source instead of back to the receiver. Radar-absorbing coating soaks up what reflection remains. The result is an aircraft with the radar signature of a small bird. Iraqi air defense radar, even sophisticated Soviet systems, simply couldn't detect it at useful ranges. The F-117 could fly right over Baghdad and radar operators would see nothing. The operational concept was revolutionary. Traditional air warfare involves suppressing enemy air defenses before striking targets. You send wild weasels to destroy radar sites and surface-to-air missile batteries. You jam their systems. You create corridors through the defenses. It takes time, resources, and aircraft losses. The F-117 bypassed all of that. It didn't need to suppress air defenses because air defenses couldn't see it. Just fly straight to the target, drop precision-guided bombs, and leave. Iraqi air defenses would shoot after hearing engines, but by then the aircraft was already gone. Major Greg Feast was an F-117 pilot during Desert Storm. He flew missions over Baghdad on opening night. We'd be flying right over the city, over air defense sites, and they had no idea we were there. Then we'd drop our bombs and suddenly they'd start shooting, tracers everywhere, surface-to-air missiles launching blindly. But they were shooting at sounds, not targets. They couldn't track us. We'd just fly our planned route, hit our targets, and leave while they wasted ammunition on empty sky. The F-117 carried two 2,000-pound laser-guided bombs. That's it, no guns, no air-to-air missiles, just 2 bombs per aircraft. But the precision was incredible. F-117s could put bombs through specific windows from high altitude. The famous video everyone saw on CNN, a bomb going right through an air shaft into a bunker. That was an F-117. The combination of invisibility and precision made the Nighthawk the ultimate surgical strike weapon. During Desert Storm, 42 F-117s flew from bases in Saudi Arabia. They flew only at night always. The stealth technology worked best in darkness when visual detection was impossible. These 42 aircraft flew over 1,200 combat missions during the war. They struck the most critical, most heavily defended targets in Iraq. Command bunkers in downtown Baghdad, communications facilities, air defense headquarters, presidential palaces, bridges, power plants. If it was important and heavily defended, the Nighthawk hit it. The statistics are stunning. F-117s made up less than 3% of coalition aircraft, but struck more than 40% of strategic targets. That's not a typo. 3% of aircraft hitting 40% of the most important targets. They could do this because they went where other aircraft couldn't safely go. No losses, no battle damage serious enough to keep aircraft from flying again. The F-117 was untouchable. The psychological impact on Iraqi forces was enormous. They'd invested billions in air defense systems, Soviet-made radars and missiles that were supposed to protect them. Those systems were useless against the Nighthawk. Iraqi air defense operators would watch buildings explode and have no idea what was attacking them. No radar contact, no visual sighting, just destruction appearing from nowhere. Some operators thought coalition forces had developed some new super weapon. They weren't entirely wrong. The secrecy surrounding the F-117 created mystique. Details about how stealth technology worked were classified. Photos of the aircraft from certain angles were restricted. Where they were based, how they operated, even how many existed was secret. This information control added to the ghost plane reputation. Iraqi intelligence tried to learn about the Nighthawk but found almost nothing. When the shooting started, they faced a weapon they didn't understand and couldn't counter. The limitations of the F-117 get less attention. It couldn't carry much payload, just 2 bombs. It wasn't fast, subsonic only, slower than most fighters. It couldn't dogfight, no air-to-air capability at all. If caught by daylight or if an enemy fighter stumbled onto it visually, it was vulnerable. The aircraft required extensive maintenance. The radar-absorbing coating was delicate and needed constant repair. Flying it demanded intense concentration. The flight characteristics were quirky due to the unconventional design. But none of those limitations mattered for the mission it performed. One F-117 was lost during Desert Storm. On the night of January 19th, Captain Dale Zelko was flying a mission over Baghdad when his aircraft was hit by a surface-to-air missile. Iraqi air defenses had been shooting blindly, putting up walls of anti-aircraft fire and launching missiles without radar lock, hoping to hit something by chance. One missile got lucky, or Zelko was unlucky. His aircraft was damaged, but he managed to eject safely. He evaded Iraqi patrols for 8 hours before being rescued by Special Operations Forces. It was the only Nighthawk lost in combat ever. The loss showed that stealth doesn't mean invulnerable. It means very difficult to detect and target. If you saturate an area with enough anti-aircraft fire, eventually you might hit something. Iraqi forces learned this and adjusted tactics, firing massive volumes of ammunition into areas where they thought stealth aircraft might be, hoping for lucky hits. It rarely worked, but the risk was real. Stealth pilots couldn't be complacent. After Desert Storm, stealth technology became the highest priority for air forces worldwide. Everyone wanted stealth aircraft. Countries that couldn't develop their own tried to buy or steal the technology. The F-117 proved that stealth worked in combat, that it provided such overwhelming advantage that air warfare would never be the same. Billions of dollars poured into stealth programs. The F-22, F-35, B-2 bomber all followed the path the Nighthawk pioneered. The F-117 was retired in 2008. Newer stealth aircraft with better capabilities replaced it. But the Nighthawk's legacy is permanent. It proved the concept, demonstrated that radar could be defeated, showed that precision and invisibility combined create devastating capability. Every stealth aircraft flying today owes its existence to the F-117 and what it accomplished over Baghdad in January '91. For the pilots who flew the Nighthawk in Desert Storm, it was a career-defining experience. They trained for years on this secret aircraft, wondering if they'd ever use it in combat. When war came, they proved the Nighthawk's worth. They struck targets others couldn't reach. They did it without losses beyond the one aircraft that got unlucky. They changed warfare. That's a legacy any pilot would be proud of. The Iraqi perspective is harder to document. Iraqi air defense personnel who survived the war rarely talk about their experiences, but those who have spoken describe the psychological torture of being unable to defend against attacks they couldn't see coming. Some describe paranoia, constantly expecting explosions, but having no way to prevent them. The stealth bomber created helplessness that degraded morale more effectively than traditional bombing. The public revelation of stealth technology through Desert Storm launched a cultural phenomenon. Suddenly, everyone knew about stealth planes. Models were sold in toy stores. Movies featured stealth aircraft. Video games included them. The F-117 became iconic despite its classified nature. The angular black silhouette became instantly recognizable. For a generation of kids, the stealth fighter represented the cutting edge of American technology. The cost of developing stealth was enormous. The program that created the F-117 cost billions spread over decades. Each aircraft was incredibly expensive, well over $100 million per plane when all development costs were factored in. Critics questioned whether 42 aircraft that could only carry 2 bombs each were worth that investment. Desert Storm answered that question. Yes, they were worth it. The capability they provided, striking any target with impunity, was priceless. If you served as an F-117 pilot or maintenance crew during Desert Storm, or if you were an Iraqi who experienced stealth bomber attacks, leave a comment below. The Nighthawk story is about technological innovation creating military revolution, about how investment in advanced capabilities pays off when war comes, about the psychological warfare of invisible attackers. Thanks for watching Gulf War Chronicles. The F-117 Nighthawk was a revelation. A decade of secret development suddenly revealed to the world through combat footage of precision strikes on Baghdad. The ghost plane that Iraqi radar couldn't see, that flew over the most heavily defended city in Iraq and struck targets with impunity. Stealth technology wasn't theoretical anymore. It was proven, and it changed how wars are fought. Every advanced military now pursues stealth because the Nighthawk showed what it could do. That's the legacy of those 42 black triangles flying over Baghdad in January '91. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button. We're telling the complete story of Desert Storm, including the secret weapons that became legends. I'll see you in the next one.